Are there any downsides to living near the water in Hawaii? I'm going to give you 3 things to consider coming up next. Hey, what's going on, friends? I always talk to people that have the dream of moving to Hawaii and living on the water, right? Living on the beach. They think that's just the ultimate thing to do in life, is to live near the ocean, hear the waves crashing, watch the sunsets, and all that good stuff. But a lot of times people don't consider the downsides when it comes to living near the ocean. And there's 3 big things that you really want to consider before choosing to live near the water, because it may not be all it's cracked up to be, and it may be a little bit of a headache. So the first one is that you want to consider is the temperature. Living near the water, especially on the Big Island, is like 5 to 10 degrees hotter than if you live at a little bit of elevation. I live at like 1,000 feet. I think kind of 800 to 1,500 feet is like the kind of sweet spot in terms of elevation if you care about temperature. At that elevation, you never really need any air conditioning. When you're down by the water, it's a lot hotter. You need air conditioning. It can be uncomfortable in the summertime. It doesn't get above 90 too often, but it can be humid, and living by the water, it's going to be much warmer year-round than it's going to be if you live at a higher elevation. The second thing that you want to consider is the salty air. So if you see behind me, waves are crashing. You got all of these houses and condos behind me. That salty air constantly is going to be rising into your home or your condominium complex, and your windows will be dirty all the time, and it's going to erode everything in your house that has metal on it. So your window fixtures, sliding door fixtures, your electronics won't last as long because that salty air is going to get into your computer electronics, your appliances. Anything that really has metal in it is going to be affected by that salty air and the corrosion that's caused by that. And it can cause additional costs in terms of maintenance, where if you have a metal roof, that's going to rust more often. Your paint is going to degrade quicker because the salty air is always going to be on it. There's a lot to consider in terms of maintenance when it comes to being near the ocean, and that salty air does a number on many different things. So that's something that you want to consider for cost-wise and maintenance-wise going forward. And the last one, also related to cost of ownership, is insurance. If you are near the water, in most cases you're going to need flood insurance due to the threat of tsunamis. And although it doesn't happen very often, it's not something that you really need to worry about. Just like if you lived in a flood plain and it doesn't flood very often, you are required to have flood insurance. On a condo, that's covered by the master policy and is going to be part of your HOA fees. But if you live in a home, your cost of insurance could be 3, 4, 5 times greater than it normally would, because you're going to be required to have flood insurance in addition to your normal homeowner's policy. And so that's something that you want to consider in the long-term cost of owning the home, is insurance could be significantly higher if you live along the shoreline in an area that is low enough for tsunamis. In Hawaii, you have a lot of shorelines that are very high, right? The 15, 20-foot cliff, and they are not in a tsunami inundation zone, so you don't have to worry about it. But that's something that you want to consider depending on where you're looking to buy. So my consideration is you should always rent first and make sure you definitely can't live without being near the ocean, because there's some other considerations that may make life long-term more comfortable. It could be nice to just stay in a condo and do the temporary thing near the ocean, but if you want to be there long-term, there's a lot of considerations to think about, and you want to make sure you factor those in before you just do it, spend a ton of money, because of course it's going to cost more to buy near or on the water than it will somewhere else, and that could compound with all the additional costs. So 3 things to consider before you decide to live oceanfront. If you have any questions, you can always email me at dylan@buybigisland.com, or you can book a meeting at the link below, and we'll get with you, answer your questions hopefully, and we're always here to help if you need anything. See you guys next week. Aloha.